Time now to go into our pundits who will be here helping us from now until 6 p.m. We have in-house pundits and external ones. In-house, though, George Addo Jr. obviously is my, there he is.
Yeah, I'm here. You know what, Gary? And I was just trying to tell Arsenal fans, now you have to check this out. David Luiz and Mustafi in centre-back for you this season. How does that look? I mean, David Luiz is now an Arsenal player.
My producer just whispered in my ear that they are a ticking time bomb.
I didn't say anything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yes,
I'm giving the blame to my producer so that we don't take any of the brunt that comes from Arsenal fans, who we will hear from momentarily. However, apart from George Addo Jr., our resident experts in studio are, wait for it, there we go, men in black, men in white, men suited, men booted. Raymond Yamado to your left, no, to your right on screen. To your right on screen. Raymond, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome, Gary.
Yes, and also Kosi Fiaka. He's also here to take us through the deals that will be wrapped up and, more importantly, what they mean for all the teams. This is the Joy Transfer Countdown. We are on Twitter and live tweeting as we speak now. Bill and the guys are on Twitter with the hashtag Joy Deadline Day. So anything you want to tell us, all the questions they've put out, let us know. Also, the phone number that you can send your videos to, your short videos that we will play throughout the show is still active. 0244 619 907. You can get us on that. Like I said, we are streaming on Facebook, on the Joy News page, and on the Joy 99.7 FM page. First order of business is to get some analysis from our resident expert from outside the studio, Nizar Kinsella. Thank you for your time for joining us again. Thank you for your time. You are joining us from London, aren't you?
Yeah, in London, yeah.
Yes.
Chelsea, right?
The last time we had the transfer deadline show, you again were the star of the show because a lot of things came from your neck of the woods. And then yesterday, or maybe more accurately, 36 hours ago, how did you get to hear first that David Luiz wanted out of the Blues?
I was as shocked as all you guys were because I couldn't believe that this player who's 30 years old, been at Chelsea for so long, he's won the Champions League, and he identifies them closely, but said he wanted to leave. It was Arsenal forward. He is very influential and is very close to Arsenal now because I have a new technical director called Edu, and he masterminded the deal. He got a player from Chelsea from the biggest rival, pretty much of Arsenal Football Club. You know, who's very important to Chelsea and it's a huge.
Okay, we'll have to sort out that Skype line momentarily. We can get your problematic, but essentially what he started saying was he wanted to explain that Chelsea, or Arsenal more accurately, have Edu on as a new technical director, and he has a bit of a relationship with the player. George?
Yeah, of course, it's surprising, and as you said, it would be good to hear what really went down in, you know, David Luiz. We've heard a number of things. We've heard there's some cold blood between himself and Lampard. We'll leave all of that really to Nizar when he gets back on the line. But it's now time to engage my guest here on the show. Hey, guys, how you doing?
Oh, we're doing amazing.
Let me start with you, Raymond Yamado, because Manchester United, you have been in this for some time in terms of what you've got. Are you excited with your transfers and everything that's happened so far for you?
Well, I think that United fans definitely won't be satisfied, especially looking at the number of players that were linked to the club and how most of these players never showed up at the club. Bruno Fernandes and like were talked about. Dybala at some point was also talked about. And, you know, you see how Manchester United have done business in this transfer market. They started very well, came in, and a lot of us were expecting that United would go on and then sign some big name players. But I think that Lampard wants to give a lot of the youth players he has in his team some confidence. He wants to give them some more game time. And so I think that crucially for United, Harry Maguire signing should do a bit of a job for them, because last season we saw Manchester United concede lots of goals. They conceded as many as 54 goals. And so Maguire coming in definitely should have the VVD effect, as Manchester United fans would be expecting. And so I think that bolstering that defensive line was key for United. And Harry Maguire definitely coming in would add some bites to that Manchester United defense. So I think that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does have a plan. He definitely has the players that he believes can actually fit into the system he wants to play this season. Looking at the youngsters in that team and the pace in that team, I think that he would go counter-attacking. The middle of the park is not as solid as you would expect, but he still has some decent players in there. And so for United fans, I don't think that United fans would be happy, but I think he has quite a decent side to go into the season and challenge for a top 4 place.
We've got some 27 minutes to the end of the transfer window. We'll be keeping tabs on what's happening. We know that Cesar Young as well is confirmed right now. That deal has gone through. We'll be giving you more on that. But Elam, let me find out from you in Manchester United. Now, they've done a lot there. A lot of players have gone, a lot of players are in. We still think that there's some ropes hanging on the neck of Paul Pogba. But do you think they have at least enough to try and go through this? Remember, there was also one of the deals we're looking out for, Mandzukic. They want to sign Mandzukic because they have lost Romelu Lukaku. We said Romelu Lukaku represents the greatest number of goals they've had so far, in this new era. Do you think they have what it takes, though, at this point in time, without Mandzukic, to fight on in the Premier League?
To a large extent, I'll tell you, simply because we look across that Manchester United team, and strength in depth was an issue for them. They had a lot of good players. They had a lot of very average players that made up the numbers. So looking at from the defence, they had the likes of Marcos Rojo, the likes of Phil Jones, Chris Smalling, Eric Bailly. That was great in numbers. At left back, they had the likes of Luke Shaw. At right back, they have Diego Dalot. They had Ashley Young, who was converted and all of that. Up front was a huge issue because they had a certain Alexis Sanchez who just failed to fire, who was also more or less stripped out with injuries. They had a certain Marcus Rashford who was very hugely inconsistent for that Manchester United team. And an Anthony Martial who turned up when he felt like it. But in pre-season, we've seen Ole Gunnar Solskjaer employ the likes of Mason Greenwood. So it's a sign of things to come that he probably wants to integrate a player like that into this Manchester United team. But up front, I think they are a bit body light, simply because when you lose a player of the caliber of Romelu Lukaku, an absolutely phenomenal centre-back that would hold the ball for you, if you want to vary your play, you have to replace him. That's probably why they're in the market for somebody like a Mandzukic, because in that squad right now, all the players across the front line are a certain type of player. They are nifty, nimble-footed players who can also play on the wings. They don't have that traditional number 9, that traditional centre-forward that would rise up and hit those balls in, that would bully defenders. And a team like Manchester United, playing in a league like the English Premier League, need a lot of that aspect of their game as well. And if you lose a player like Romelu Lukaku, you lose a lot of that, George.
Well, that's interesting there, because we're looking at how Manchester United want to fight on, how they want to get this working for them. They should have at least something in there. Well, we have to talk about the other things there again. Now, Chelsea are not buying players, but are letting players go. What do you make of that Chelsea defense? Of course, without David Luiz, and to cover the need because Cahill is also out.
Well, you look at what Lampard is trying to do, and Lampard clearly is trying to build his team, build that defensive line around the youthful players that he has. And so you look at David Luiz. His age, 32, definitely doesn't help him in terms of, staying at the club for a long time. And so, you look at the players that are available now. You talk about Rudiger, you talk about Christensen, you talk about Kurt Zouma, who had a fantastic season with Everton on loan. And I think he has the likes of Omeru also on the bench, and there's a certain Hector in there. I think that he wants to focus on building a central defensive partnership around these youthful players, and he's definitely looking at one for the future. And so I think that allowing David Luiz to go clearly tells every Chelsea fan that, look, Frank Lampard has come to this team, and he's not going to bring in wholesale changes to that team. He's not going to bring in any big name signings. He's not going to bring in any marquee signings, especially with the ban in place. But he's looking to build for the future. And so you look at Rudiger, Christensen, definitely these two, if they get their act right, definitely they should be the two men in central defensive position for Chelsea. So I think that they are letting some of the aged players leave, like Cahill leave, just so they can actually start building for the future.
We're yet to hear from the Tsar on what the real issue was. Remember that Antonio Conte had things affecting him after he allowed Diego Costa to move out of the place. Could that be a situation with Lampard if he's found wanting later on in the season with a lack of defensive options?
I don't think so, for a couple of reasons. One, now, we had a lot of undertones coming out from Cobham that David Luiz was going to be 4th choice for a coach like Frank Lampard. Now, Frank Lampard came into a Chelsea team, with a very limited squad. As much as there were a lot of young players, the experience running across the squad was a bit threadbare, and he expected David Luiz to offer that leadership. Now, David Luiz, bear in mind, only signed a 2-year contract in May, and that went against the tenets of a Chelsea establishment that only offered players under 30 1-year contract. So it shows you that they wanted to keep him at the football club. But then when you go into a transfer window and you start agitating that you want to leave, especially getting to the last day of the transfer window, it breeds a lot of discontent across that team. And I believe that's one of the reasons why Lampard would sanction the sale of David Luiz. Aside that as well, there was a certain Fikayo Tomori who won the Derby Player of the Season last season. We might not say he's ready for the Premier League, but Everton were out in the market to get him on loan. And we understand that Lampard is going to retain him now that David Luiz is going. But then there isn't a lack of options. We saw the Chelsea team in pre-season, and across that central defensive position, we've seen the likes of Ked Suma, the likes of Andreas Christiansen, and only recently, Antonio Rudiger has started training with the pack again. So Lampard might know what he's doing. It might come back to haunt him. It might not. But most important thing is Chelsea is a team in transition. And when you're a team in transition, sometimes some of these decisions are very essential.
Yeah, Raymond, Chelsea are not only losing a defender, but they're losing someone who could score goals as well, Ray.
Well, Chelsea, you look at this Chelsea team and how they've actually, gone about their business. I think that Lampard clearly has a game plan, because you look at Tammy Abraham, who was loaned out to Aston Villa last season. He scored as many as 25 goals for Aston Villa in the Championship. And so it clearly tells you that he's trying to, build his team around players like Tammy Abraham and the likes of Olivier Giroud, because, without doubt, Chelsea have to chart a new path. We saw Hazard score a lot of goals for them and create lots of assists for them. You are missing the services of a key player like Hazard, and you still have to make up for it. And you look at what options he has. Tammy Abraham definitely is not, your biggest striker. He's not that big name striker. But can he be able to do the job for Chelsea? Yes. And I think that given the right players around him, Chelsea shouldn't have a problem if they lose any other striker at all. I think that Lampard clearly has a game plan, and I want to believe that giving the youth a chance, building a team from scratch, giving confidence to the youthful players in the team should be the future for Chelsea. And I'm quite excited about the ban, because it helped us see another side of Chelsea. Lots of players have been out on loan. Some of them the coach has decided to have confidence in, bringing them back. And some of them the coach wants to give them the chance to prove themselves and stake a claim for themselves to stay at Chelsea. And so I think that without doubt, they still have lots of goals in the players at their disposal. Giroud definitely will get some goals for them. Tammy Abraham definitely, with the right supply, will get goals for them. So Chelsea won't have any problems at all in attack.
Okay, let's see if we can confirm that or deny that. Nizar joins us now on Skype all the way from London. Remember, you're still on the Joy Transfer Countdown show, yes, on the Joy News channel on Multi TV, a DSTV channel 421, and as well on Joy 99.7 FM. We'll be hearing from you. Remember that you can tweet at us at Joy Sports GH. That's on Twitter as well. You can send us your messages via our WhatsApp line, and let's hear from you in terms of giving us your videos and all. So Nizar, let's just come straight to you now and find out, yes, what has been going on between Lampard and David Luiz to the point where he wants, or he's actually asked to leave the club and has left the club.
Yeah, that's $1 million question. We're going to speak to Frank Lampard tomorrow at 1 p.m. So he will transfer in his own words. But yeah, I think what we know so far is that Chelsea are very much losing a 32-year-old player. But I think that he's ready to be a backup player next season. I think Frank Lampard had in mind that he would use Christensen and he would use the other defenders like Antonio Rudiger, Curtis Zuma. So I think that David Luiz was very unhappy with this position in the squad, and that sort of led to this move. I think that David Luiz's agent is a very clever agent, very the top of the game, very much a super agent. So he was able to engineer this move to Arsenal football because they were desperate for a centre back. We saw when David Luiz moved to Chelsea for the second time that it came at the last minute, and it's happened again. And it's because this agent has all the contacts to pull these sorts of strings. And Edu Gaspar, the technical director of Arsenal, is very close to David Luiz's agent. They've sort of exploited the situation to get a cheap deal, really. $8 million is very cheap in this market. David Luiz has cost 1/10 of what Harry Maguire cost Manchester United. And so he's very cheap. And I think that the main reason or the main problem at Chelsea was that he fell out with Frank Lampard. But it's more over game time, not over, personalities or anything like that. It's just that this is a player who doesn't want to be backed up, and he thinks he's too good for that. And now he's left. He's back for the club.
All right, Nizar, still not too clear. We'll try to get back to him and bring you up to speed with all this happening. We've got some 18 minutes to the end of the transfer window in England. We'll be running up to that. Gary will be joining me shortly. For now, though, we'll go for some fun reactions if we can do that. We'll be coming back to Nizar. He's still on the line, but we'll go for some fun reactions, the videos that you've sent us. Let's hear from one or two of you, and then when we come back, there's more to look at too.
My name is Sam, and I'm a Chelsea fan. Actually, Chelsea didn't do any transfers because of our band. But we saw the departure of Eden Hazard and the release of Gary Cahill. And we added to our squad Christian Pulisic, who was the technicality, who was the peace, who was the I can do spirit to boost our squad and push our team forward. I know Chelsea this season we can do well and can do better. I trust in my main man, Frankie, who has done a lot in Derby County, and I hope it's going to improve at Chelsea. I wish him well, and I know he will do better. And I know this season will also be in the top four. God willing, inshallah. Thanks.
God willing, inshallah, he says. Not sure God plays football and which team he supports. However, so those were the fun, some of the fun videos we got. They are still coming in 0244-619-907. We'll be playing them as we go ahead. On social media as well, David Luiz has been trending for us. Let's see what some of you have been saying now. If Luiz leaves, this one from Machiavelli Santival. This one is, okay, Bernard Saba says, Jesus, another bad nut in the mix again. They gave us Czech and now Luiz. We are gone. If Luiz leaves, it should be a good news for Chelsea fans. Luiz is now old. The defense needs serious changes. He fears he will not get enough game time. Rudiger, Christensen, Zuma are very good and can make some massive improvements in our defense. It's time for the youngsters to show their qualities. Now, Gordon, Trademaster Chumesi says, I just can't think far. That Luiz and Mustafi combo will rival Schillaci and Giroud or Silvestri partnership as Arsenal's worst centre-back pairing ever. Interesting indeed. Osborne Holly Ahlija says that David Luiz and his disloyalty to Chelsea. I remember the goal he celebrated against Chelsea just when he moved to PSG. Anyway, manifest since age is catching up with him. That's a good point. Jide Kofi Ashong says the current Chelsea team is ordinary. They don't look like a team that will do well this season. In fact, the team is likely not to compete. They can't strengthen the team due to the transfer ban. Clearly, David Luiz is looking for some options that will give him hope of some success this season. Interesting. Prince Darko says, as a Blues fan, I don't mind losing David Luiz at all. In fact, Arsenal can take him for free. He started to leak out too many times and cost us too many goals. Francis Sakada says he wants to join his brother Guendouzi.
With the hairstyle.
With the hairstyle.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, a Mankwan team says, please, he should stay right there at Chelsea. There's no space for him in Arsenal. We will be better off without him. So the jury is a bit split on David Luiz there. I'm not sure what you guys have to say, but keep your comments coming. Joy Deadline Day is the hashtag on Twitter and Instagram. We'll be getting more of your comments as the show goes on till 6 p.m.
So yes, we know we've got 14 minutes to the end of the transfer window. We'll be keeping tabs on where the players are turning. What we know that David Luiz is now an Arsenal player. Yes, for sure. We'll get more coming up. And a lot in terms of the interaction coming all the way from you. So then we'll try to push this around because we're right in England and we've been talking about who is likely to do what, who is likely to ensure he can bolster all the various departments in his team to make sure they can work out. So then let's talk about Manchester City right now as we keep tabs on that. We'll count down in the last 5 minutes with Gary alongside me. But I think we need to get into Manchester City, and that's an interesting discussion already. Now, they have won this title back-to-back, and they're looking to add the back-to-back, and they are buying players. Cancelo coming to Manchester United is a huge one, Raymond, and it's a huge statement for anyone who feels that they can win the title and wrestle it away from Man City.
Well, I think that Manchester City have continued from where they left off last season. They haven't changed too much in their squad. Consistency will be key for Manchester City this season. And as to whether Man City are going to lose their league, it's going to be a matter of choice. If they decide to prioritize winning the Champions League over the EPL, then definitely it would be Man City's to lose. But if you look at how this Manchester City team are organized, look at the players that have come in. He's brought in Rodri, you know, just to play as backup for Fernandinho. You look at a player like Angelino, who is supposed to actually, you know, replace the player Mendy, who always seems to get injured. You know, he's brought in Zeffin for the goalkeeper, the American goalkeeper. You know, you can see that Pep Guardiola clearly has an idea of how he's going to go into this season. Rodri, for instance, playing in Atletico Madrid, has a lot of experience, playing even in the Champions League. And so you are going to see Fernandinho probably play in the English Premier League, and then probably see Rodri play in the Champions League. This is a manager who definitely knows how to get the best out of the players that he has and players that he brings to the club. And so you look at Rough Diamond Cancelo. This is one player that Pep Guardiola has watched, obviously, during his time at Valencia. And so these are players that Pep Guardiola can turn into gold. You know, these are rough diamonds that he can actually polish, or these are players that can easily, you know, turn into something else under Pep Guardiola. And I think that, you know, looking at how this team is set up, you still have the goal scorers in there in Aguero. You still have the likes of Raheem Sterling still doing what they do best. We saw him, you know, in that Community Shield match. And so it clearly tells you that, look, this Manchester City team is definitely going to grow in strength in the course of the season. And it depends on what Pep Guardiola decides to do. If he goes for the Champions League, then definitely he might give up on the EPL. But this title is Manchester City's to lose. 11
minutes to the end of the transfer window. We're keeping tabs on that, and we can tell you now that Crystal Palace will keep Zaha in the end. The truth is that he is not a happy player. He didn't get to go to Arsenal or Everton. That's just falling through. And we know that Arsenal have their new left back, if is, you know, Cheney is actually free now. He's done his medical and all has been agreed there at Arsenal. That's just the one just tipping in. Gary, you've got something for me?
Yes, indeed. We have the first pictures of David Luiz in an Arsenal shirt. Is it fake? is it fake?
Yeah, because a lot of photoshopping has been going on.
Anyway, it's making the rounds on social media. However, we go to Skype very briefly, to speak to Andrew Gibney. Andrew is a French football expert. For those of you who first saw the Arsenal website confirm the Nicolas Pepe deal, the analysis came from this man who wrote for the Arsenal website. Andrew, thank you for your time.
Hi, guys.
Yeah. First of all, that was a lovely piece on Nicolas Pepe, giving us insight to how the Ivorian has come from Lille all the way to Arsenal. Can you remind us of what his story has been briefly before getting that 72 million quid move?
Yeah, of course. He came from Angers. He only scored 3 goals in his last season. And then under Marcelo Bielsa, he struggled. He played as a centre forward, and he didn't quite suit the tactics. And then when Christophe Gaultier came in, put him onto the right wing, you saw all of his skills, all of his ability, cutting in on his left foot. He was finishing, he was creating goals, and you can see why he attracted Arsenal. You can see the sort of raw athleticism and what he can do with the ball. And he was an amazing signing for Lille, and he's going to be a real asset to Arsenal's attack.
Many of our viewers and listeners are not regular watchers of the French top flight, but what we expected was from the Africa Cup of Nations. Let's just say he didn't star, he didn't shine for the Ivory Coast. Why do you think that is?
I think he had a long, difficult season as well. Lille were challenging all the way right to the end for that Champions League place. So it's hard for a player to give his absolute best all the way through a league campaign, and then to expect, especially with the transfer in the background as well, it was hanging over his head. So that would have been playing on his mind, and I'm sure he had a lot of talk with his agent about where he was going. There was lots of things mentioned. And probably this wasn't the right time for him to play in a tournament like that and be so important to the Ivory Coast. So maybe next time when he's more settled at Arsenal, you'll get to see the real Nicolas Pepe then.
And finally, before we let you go, how does he improve that Arsenal team from what you know of him? And what will be the most ideal way for Arsenal to use Nicolas Pepe?
The ideal way is to play sort of a 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3, play him on the right wing. And you've got to, when Arsenal sometimes play too much possession football, you need to let Nicolas play on the break, use his pace. He's not like a tricky winger. He's more direct, playing 1-2s. And you can see the way that Lacazette teamed up with Fekir at Lyon, the way that he could team up with Pepe in Arsenal, and just that front three is going to be so quick, so direct, so dangerous. It's going to be really hard to stop.
Andrew Gibney, merci beaucoup.
Thank you. Cheers, guys. Good night.
Cheers. Bye. So Andrew Gibney is our French football expert, and the Arsenal website went to him for analysis. Who are we not to? do that. Here on the Joy Deadline Day, we'll go for a quick commercial break, but coming up next in the next hour, we have more local insight from across the country, from Brad Kankamwedu, Collins, Atta, Poku, all from Kumasi, and also Sadiq Obama will be on the show. Lots to talk about in the second hour. George?
Yeah, I'll give you some quick updates right now as we're building up to the end of the transfer window. And I must tell you that fullback Danny Rose, remember at this time, was at the Watford training grounds ahead of a proposed move there to the club. We're talking about Athletic. We are looking at that to see whether that really goes through it. Now, Real Madrid have given up signing Paul Pogba. That's just coming in for Manchester United this summer. Where would Paul Pogba find himself in the end? Edin Ketia has joined Leeds United on loan. Just putting this up for you. I think that we've got Romelu Lukaku now in a Inter Milan jersey, and he's already started tweeting. Gary will be giving you all those pictures and telling you how happy he's looking, really. Well, Hossein as well has been speaking on one or two of the deals, and we know that you have your man now, Arsenal fans. And I often forget that Gary is an Arsenal fan. You have your man. You have your defender in there.
Time for us to take that commercial break.
So then we've got a few seconds to the end of the transfer window. We'll be running by you right now what deals have gone through and what's likely to be completed. Remember, there's always a window to give you a bit of time. That's if you're able to run through all your papers and stuff. You may get the opportunity to complete the deals and we go through that. So we're getting up there. We've got some 30 seconds or so to go through. And I'll just be giving you what's happening right now. Gary? Yes, Gary, we'll get into it. Let's go into it. Gary?
Yes, George has got the clock behind him. It reads, what? A minute and 30 seconds. George, what have you got behind you?
Yes, that's what the clock says right now.
Yeah,
So we're counting down.
Just about a minute. So let's go. 3, 2, 1, move. Alban Ajeti from Basel to West Ham has been done. £8 million. Emil Kraft from Amiens to Newcastle. £5 million, George.
Oh yeah, Everton could surprise all of us. It looks like Alex Iwobi is getting close. Is that? Everton are trying to move Alex Iwobi from Arsenal. That's what we keep our tabs on. Can they do it before the transfer closes?
A double whammy from Brighton, who have got one player from PSG in Romaric Yapi and also Léa Legarec, also from Gengan, all undisclosed.
And we've confirmed that Wilfred Zaha is not moving out of Crystal Palace. Hands down, Arsenal, Everton. Not too sure any of that was going to happen. He's going to be staying there.
Manchester City have got from Girona Pedro Porro for undisclosed fee. And also the big one, Romelu Lukaku has posed on Twitter. This player, he says, Bolingoli, is an Interisti now.
And we know that we've got 5 seconds to the end of this, but Chelsea have been letting go players. David Luiz is out. Gary Cahill is out. What do they do then? That's just about it for the end of the England transfer window. Closest at this point, Gary, and I'm sure one or two of these clubs will be hoping that those deals will spill over and get those sorted out.
It will get sorted out indeed. So it's done. We'll be wrapping up all the major deals here, so stay with us. What this English transfer window means for the Premier League, which starts on the 9th of August. That is, of course, tomorrow. We'll be doing that in the second and final hour of the analysis. Don't forget also that at 5 p.m. our time, the Joy Business team will be here to look at the numbers. What does it mean in terms of the real money? Then we come back at around 5:20 to wrap it all up. Take your comment, and there'll be your social media interactions interspersed from now until 6 p.m.
So that's where we are at the moment. Transfer window is shut for English Premier League clubs. No club can do any further business. It's all over, and we look forward to the start of the new English Premier League season. So it's as you were with what you got. We can now talk a little bit now with about the kind of players that have gone through this transfer window and the kind of things we've seen. Gary, let's talk about Chelsea, who lost one or two of their defenders and really need to match us out. I know some Chelsea fans have said that, oh, no problems at all. We're going to find a way. We're going to find a way. There's no problem at all. That's interesting, Gary. And we'll bring in our pundits right now because like in the next 5 minutes, we'll have just hit on the teams. Chelsea definitely had a transfer ban. Let defenders go. Feel they're safe?
Well, whether they are safe is another matter altogether. I mean, considering, David Luiz might be what Raymond says is a player who leaks a lot. However, he is still a presence in that team. And if it's confirmed, as we expect, widely expected, that he moves over to Arsenal, it's still going to be a loss. Some have said that if you look at the number of players, you saw one of those comments that we were able to read there. Somebody mentioned Rudiger, Christensen, and so on and so forth. Whether they can do the job is another matter. What does their starting 11 look like? We'll be looking at all that in the next hour or two.
You were sticking with Chelsea. Now, Danny Drinkwater, that's also been confirmed at the moment. Definitely moved out on loan. So Chelsea, done a very good job. He's gone. He's gone. Burnley. That's fine. That's settled. Now, let's try and do this. We'll keep that on. But I'll come to you guys and let's talk then about Liverpool, who did not do so much in this market. Are they okay?
Yeah, I think Liverpool are home and dry, simply because last week they had a very solid team. And they didn't just have a solid team, they had a lot of very solid backups as well. Now, we saw them in that Champions League semi-final against the Barcelona team, and they were without a lot of their key players, but the likes of Origi, Shaqiri stepped up. They've done a bit of business, but Jurgen Klopp has looked at the future. He's brought in Elliott and the likes, players that would be groomed for the future. And he said himself that he believes in the group that he has, and he wants to more or less build it. It's a team that he has built over a few years. So it's not a team that you'd probably want to dilute at this time. So I think Liverpool are home and dry. They're looking good. They're looking strong. And we expect them to go into this season still challenging with the squad they've got.
Confirmed, Andy Carroll has moved out. He's definitely joined Newcastle. Happy with that? We can talk about Newcastle, what they're doing. They've got their problems. Christian Achu is there and all. I thought the story really should be about Everton, who have done a lot. What should we expect from them, Raymond?
Well, Everton have been busy in the transfer market. They brought in the defensive midfielder, the Ivorian guy, Gbamin, his one very good customer. They've brought in, some quality players in the course of the transfer window. And I think that, you look at Everton and how they've decided to spend. I think that a lot will depend on what Marco Silva does in the course of the season. If Silva is able to get the best out of the players he has brought in, then definitely we might see Everton, competing for one of the places in the top 6. But I still see Everton as, that tricky team, because you look at the likes of Lucas Digne. They still have a very good core, at their disposal. Rick Allison is still in there. And so you look at this Everton team and you can still see this team, causing a lot of problems for all the teams in there. So if you look at the second tier or the other half of the English Premier League,
they should be leading it.
Yeah, they should definitely be leading that.
There's a story about Wolves. I'm sure we'll be looking at that as we go through it. But we have to also remind you that we have news filtering through right now. The David Luiz paperwork was submitted just before the deadline. Now that's the big one. I was, and the fax matter is coming in right now. I was looking at Gary's background. He's got a good background. Look at Gary's background. Okay, he went off. I saw 3 of the players standing right behind him there. There was Lukaku, who's been sorted out. David Luiz in the middle, issues, of course.
That's Lukaku. Romelu.
That's your background looking for.
He looks fetching in that new Inter kit, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's looking good.
Yeah.
This guy looks good in blue. I don't know why you wanted to put him in red.
The official hashtag for Inter is welcome Romelu. So you can tag on to the Joy Sports Twitter account, where we have a lot of these pictures and more.
Gary, hopefully no fax issues. If there were fax issues, David Luiz will have to stay with Chelsea.
Yeah,
or maybe move out. And to Arsenal fans, hold it. You don't even have David Luiz like you thought you did. But we'll be confirming that as we go down the line. And that's really interesting, Gary, with all that we've seen.
So let's get the comments of social media for Romelu Lukaku. Now that is confirmed, let's go into that folder and hear what a lot of United fans have to say about the fact that he wanted to move. There we go. Papatni says, I would prefer Rashford leaves instead of Lukaku. In his worst season, he scored more goals. Osman Haruna says, he's good. He's got that effort for goals, sometimes very terrible with finishing decisions. He's not lazy one bit. He's pacey and strong. His biggest problem, very, very terrible with his first touch. Terrible is an understatement. Moving on to other comments on Romelu, Selassie says, Lukaku is a great player, depending on the team he's playing in. At Belgium, he's the best. But at United, you don't know. You don't know what's going on. Moving on, more comments.
Eventually, he will score.
Emil Nazir Dembele says, Lukaku is a great striker, but his first touch of a dodecahedron, that's what he wants to say, dodecahedron or something like that, always lets him down, but he's generally good. That's from Emil Nazir. David Usu Prempe says, I personally feel the football-loving people have been so unfair to Luka. That bad tag on him doesn't match his profile. He's way, way better than most of the overhyped English guys playing in the EPL. And he's not quoting me, please. He was writing to me. Just so that, for those of you who are watching on television. Kai Wo also sent in his comment. He says, Lukaku isn't bad, except for his first touch. If United could always send the ball rolling in front of him to chase, he could score more goals. But United did not play that kind of game. Their strikers were always good at the feet until Lukaku arrived. So Lukaku has joined Inter for £73 million. More comments coming in. Ronnie Santos Muine Fred says he can play well in a small club, not Manchester United. He can play well in a small club, not Manchester United. Any more comments on Romelu? That's it. On our screens also, Andy Carroll in his new Newcastle kit on a free transfer. Where have we seen Andy Carroll in a Newcastle kit before? Have we seen him in a Newcastle kit before?
No, it looks like that.
That's his boyhood club, yes.
So his boyhood club. So yeah, Charlie is in. Gary, I don't know if you're going to call this breaking news, but the Alexi Iwobi deal has been confirmed.
It's been confirmed. Has it been confirmed?
Alexi Iwobi to Everton.
Wow, 40 million. What? Say it again.
£40 million.
Wow.
Alex Iwobi to Everton.
Iwobi?
Yes. Okay, Zaha stays at Crystal Palace.
Like Iwobi for 40 million?
Alex Iwobi for 40 million to Everton.
Who is?
Yeah, I understand the confusion of it. It's okay.
Who is Everton's maga? You know, their bankroller. Like, I need to see him.
40 million for Alex Iwobi. Okay,
He's 23 or 24,
guys.
isn't he?
Yeah.
No,
I mean, a great sell on value if you ask me, and then he would offer them something.
Arsenal,
They
it's
don't
good
have.
business.
Yeah. But for Everton, paying 40 million, it's the
That's what
English
I'm
market.
saying.
It's the English market, Gary, and people are paying extraordinary money.
I thought you're saying Maguire is 80 million, so it will become 40. Is that what you're
40
saying?
million.
You know,
I
let me
mean,
ask.
at a point, we're hearing Manchester United were going to bid what 81 million for the Inaki Williams. So it shows you how crazy the market is. And in the English Premier League now, with the kind of money rolling in from TV, 40 million seems to be.
You know, Gary, I don't know how many Nigerians are watching us, but if a Nigerian watching us, I would love you to have your say on this. Now I've got a critical question for you. My question is it a step forward or backward?
Well, crucially for the player, I think that you look at the players that have come into us now this season, and you can realize that he's definitely not going to have as much game time as he would have. And so for the player, I think that if he wants to be consistently seen playing in the English Premier League, it's a good move for him. I think a step down, moving from a club like Arsenal to Everton, it's a step down, but I think that for the player's own career development, looking at he has age on his side, and definitely if he's playing consistently week in, week out, we might just see him probably move to one of the biggest clubs in England.
He might just turn out to be a few Walcott.
Well, no. Last year we had David Ornstein on the show, and he's tweeted, these days he works for the Athletic, he's tweeted that Everton have agreed a deal to sign Arsenal and Nigeria winger. It will be for a fee in the region of 35 to 40 million pounds. Now check the first comment there. Check the first comment. 40 million pounds for Alex Iwobi. Arsenal need to rename their stadium Raul Sanllehi Arena. That deal is unreal. You know, because, 40 million is quite a lot for Alex Iwobi. Don't forget that you can join the conversation on Twitter with us. Joy Deadline Day is the hashtag. We are told that we are trending on Twitter. This is big for Africa, really. And we will go into that part of the deal about how the Africa Cup of Nations has affected the transfer window. Coming up, we have Bright Kankam Bwedu and also Sadiq Obama Collins Atabedu. And if it permits, we didn't announce this, hopefully we get Ibrahim Sanidara, who works with the Confederation of African Football, also on the line with us as well.
Great stuff, Gary. Just before we get into that area where we begin to talk about Ghana and all, when we bring on Benedict Owusu to join us to talk about the transfers and all, we have to send you down to the Patupa soldiers. We have to do this right now before we continue, Gary. Now, you tell me why we have Patapa, as part of our guests for this wonderful show.
It is not because we don't know who to call or because we are short of guests, but Patapa, a.k.a. Patapizi, the president of the Patupa soldiers, what was it called? The Patupa Soldiers Army. Yeah, Patupa Soldiers Army. Has a term that has endeared itself to brands across the world. And in this transfer window, we saw Skopa Tumana being used by a lot of international brands, from food, beverages, I'm talking Dunkin' Donuts, to Burger King. And for football, we saw Girondins de Bordeaux and also Atletico Madrid use the term Skopa Tumana. Now, what it was being used for in popular culture on Twitter was when you put a picture up and you write Scope Patumana, it essentially took a meaning of its own to mean that, what does this mean? Or tell us what you know, or what do you have to say about the picture? So if you put my picture there and you wrote Scope Patumana, it meant that, what do you have to say about Gary Al Smith? That is what it meant. So we tried to ask Patapaa if he knew about this, George.
Yeah, and how he feels that the Scopatumana is beginning to Scopatumanic and everywhere, because so we had to just find out from him. My colleague Benedict also grabbed him in a corner and then asked him the question about, how do you feel Scopatumana is now really going international? Now the players are using it and it's become a term in this transfer window. Let's get his response.
I feel happy about that, and I know it's going to happen. When one corner trend like this, I was waiting for a news about the one corner, but it's not happening. So if Scope Patumana trending like this, I will not be shocked. Yeah, it have to happen. You get it? Yeah. In the hands of God, and it's a blessing to me, and I really like it. Shout out to Spain team, you get it, and the whole country. Respect Ghana. It's me, your boy Patapizi.
How do you say it?
Yeah, respect Ghana.
No, what they are using, Scopa, how do you say it?
Scopatumana. How do I say it?
Yeah.
And why can't?
David, you have to play this again. Or
I think
popular request.
Did he really explain it? David, please. David is our producer.
David,
give us that interview again, please.
No, I feel happy about that, and I know it's going to happen. When one corner trend like this, I was waiting for a news about the one corner, but it's not happening. So if Scope Patumana trending like this, I will not be shocked. Yeah, it have to happen. You get it?
Yeah.
In the hands of God, and it's a blessing to me, and I really like it. Shout out to Spain team, you get it, and the whole country. Respect Ghana. It's me, your boy Patapizi.
How do you say it?
Yeah, respect Ghana.
No, what they are using, Scopa, how do you say it?
Scopatumana. How do I say it?
Yeah.
And why can't?
Okay. So really good stuff. And we'll be hearing from Benedict Owusu shortly in that. I also had an interesting interview with him, in trying to build up all of this. But is it? And that's what you can see on your screen at the moment, Gary. You look on the screen. Atletico Madrid. This is this account, and you should know that this is a proper account.
It's the big one.
It's a proper account. You can see it there. It's verified. Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
Atleti. Official. Scope Patumana.
So essentially, if we could scroll down, that's Diego Costa there.
Diego Costa, yes.
So Diego Costa, Scope Patumana.
Look at the reaction. Look at the reaction of the tweet.
Yeah.
Scope Patumana. Look at the reaction of the tweet. So
anyway, the person who interviewed Mr. Scope Patumana, the president of the Patapaa soldiers, is Benedict Owusu, and he's in the studio with us as well. Benedict?
Yes, Guy.
I mean,
yeah.
What was his vibe like when you were interviewing him on this yesterday?
Of course, he has seen it, he has said it, and that's a delight for him. For the very first time interviewing Patapaa, this is the very first time interviewing him. I always see him around, give him the normal,
He's a big man.
vibe that you give him. But on a low, he was talking about how excited, even before we started the interview, he was telling me that, Charlie, you're a sports guy, so today, why are you here to interview me?
Yeah.
I do entertainment, and I'm like, your Scopatumana is trending. It's everywhere. Bordeaux used it and said, Bordeaux, so a team bang. That's what he said. Like, Bordeaux is a team in France. And said, so as for Atletico Madrid, Omon was Spain. And I'm saying, well, yeah, they are in Spain. But he didn't know about Bordeaux. Then he started talking about how excited he is and he knew what was going to happen. Yeah. So it was a very good.
So which brings us nicely into the Ghana leg of the transfer countdown show here on Joy 99.7 FM. For those of you who are listening to us on radio, we are also streaming on myjoyonline.com, and we are on television on the JoyNews channel and DSTV channel 421. The Black Stars has ebbed and flowed historically, and we know that the fortunes of the Black Stars has been sometimes proportional in inverse ways or in literal ways with how Black Stars players do. One of the best periods we had in terms of how many great players we had in the Black Stars team across the world's biggest teams was around the 2006 to 2010 period. It coincided with our first 2 World Cups when Ghana also hosted the Africa Cup of Nations in 2008, and an unprecedented wave of goodwill was around the Black Stars team. Unfortunately, things have not been the same. And in this Ghana Hour, we'll try to look at the Ghanaian players on the move internally and also externally. Benedict?
Start with the external moves.
Yeah, I think we have to,
fresh from Egypt, from the Africa Cup of Nations.
I think we have to start externally. You look at, of course, the biggest one is Jordan Ayew.
Yeah.
Sealing that 3-year permanent deal with Crystal Palace after what was in too good of a season he had with them last season. But of course, we also saw his performance for the team at the Africa Cup of Nations. I'm talking about the Black Stars, and having scored 2 goals, and for me, he was our best player in the tournament. And of course, everything that comes with it, with a 3-year deal, is in the right direction for Jordan. And I think that's a very good move. I just hope and pray that this time he will take the chance. I mean, the loan wasn't too good because he wasn't that consistent. Played a couple of games, scored only 2 goals, I think, in the league, and also in a FA Cup game. I just hope and pray that this time, 3 years, he'll be able to take the chance and establish himself very well at the club. I mean, if you're talking about Jordan, you cannot talk about him and leave his brother out, Andre. I was reading that Swansea City wanted to offload him because of his wages. You know, Andre went on loan at Fenerbahce, and now his loan deal is done. They want to get a place for him, but because of his wages, Andre is unable to get a club, and the club, Swansea City, are unable to offload him. So that's also a bit of a worry for their youth, and I hope and pray that he'll be able to sort out his future, because Swansea in the Championship, if Andre decides to go back, then what it means is that then possibly maybe he's going to take a pay cut to stay at the club and play. If that's not the case, then I really don't know what's going to happen with him. But I'm very, thrilled for Jordan Ayew to have completed this permanent deal at Crystal Palace. You can also talk about other players like Kasim Nuhu, who he is not in the English Premier League. This the German Bundesliga. Yeah. He has completed a loan move from Hoffenheim to Düsseldorf. That's Fortuna Düsseldorf. Yeah. Also, one of the emerging talents from Ghana. We saw him play his very first Africa Cup of Nations after he got the opportunity to come in defense. And he has established himself here. Out there, he's been fantastic in the German Bundesliga. And I think that because of much playing time, that's why he's decided to go on loan at Fortuna Düsseldorf.
One or two guys were confused a bit.
It's
a loan move.
Yeah, it's a loan move. It's not a permanent move. Yeah. It's a loan move. And what helps him is that he's got other Ghanaian players there as well. Nana Mpoma has come from Belgium to that place. There's also Kevin Ofoyi, who is also,
Kasim Nuhu is the 4th Ghanaian player at
Exactly.
Düsseldorf.
So now we have 4 Ghanaian players. Bernard Tekpete also
is there,
well. On loan as well. His move is also a loan move from Schalke 04. He was on loan at Thunderbolt last season, where he scored more than 10 goals to help the side, get promotion to the Bundesliga. And now he came back to Schalke, and they decided to, take him to Fortuna Düsseldorf. I think it's a very good move for Kasim Nuhu. What they offers him is, much more playing time as a player to develop. I mean, he's one of our guys that we can rely on going forward in the Black Star. So it's a very wonderful move for him.
Next up,
we also have to talk about Thomas Ejapon.
Okay.
Thomas Ejapon is one player since he joined Manchester City in 2015. It's been loan.
He's been shipped out every single season.
And of course, I mean, it's understandable because you look at Thomas Ejapon, who is he going to take out of that Manchester City team and play? He plays on a wing.
Leroy Sané.
Are you serious?
It's not possible. Yeah. That's not possible. Not to say that he's not a good player. Sure. He's a fantastic player. I mean, if he's fit...
But there are levels to this thing.
Of course. But if he's fit, he's one player that will always dazzle. But the problem with Ejapon over the years has been the injuries. Injuries. That has been a big problem. And even at the times that he's been on loan at clubs, his last loan was at Hibernia in the Scottish Premier League. And even at that place, he wasn't consistent in terms of the match playing time because of injuries. He's fit. If he is fit, he will play. This time, he's earned a loan move to Belgian side, that's Waasland Beveren, and he's going to be there. And I just hope and pray that he will stay fit and will get match playing time. If that happens, he's a very fantastic player by all standards. One that we can always rely on. We saw how he played very well for the team at this Nations tournament. In his very first game, picked up an injury, but prior to the tournament in Dubai, he was one of our best players during our pre-tournament campaign. And of course, if you have such a player and he's fit, you definitely know that you have a future in terms of the Black Stars team. So I think that is a very good move for him. Also, we have to talk about Kevin Prince Boateng.
Yeah, Kevin.
I mean, Prince Boateng.
The lucky man.
How many clubs now?
Would you say he's a lucky man? I think that he's got a very good agent.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So say if he's your agent, you can imagine how many girlfriends you have.
He's got a very good agent. I mean, from Portsmouth to Genoa, he didn't even play at Genoa. He didn't kick a ball at Genoa. Genoa then straight to AC Milan. From AC Milan, then went to Spain, played some great games there with Levante, came back now to Sassuolo, from Sassuolo to Barcelona, and now he finds himself at Fiorentina. What a guy. I mean, you can say all the things that you want to say about him, but when it gets there, he definitely will get it.
Let's take some comments on Kevin Prince Boateng as we get more from Benedict. Let's get the comments that you have been reacting to Kevin Prince Boateng's move to Fiorentina. Yep, Nana Ajiman Ike says the Barcelona move was a huge mistake. Until that short demigod leaves the club, only his will shall be done. Moving on to some other things. I think he's talking about a certain number 10. Show some respect to one of the best players in the world, would you? Samia Samoa says, as to why Barcelona signed him still remains a mystery. So that's on Kevin Prince Boateng and his latest move. Imre Saleh Inusa says, he went to Barcelona to warm the bench, no goals and no assists. No wonder he's going back to where he came from. Another comment from Benjamin Darko says, Gary, on the real, this guy's agent is really doing a good job for him. And I think we all agree across the table. That's from Benjamin Darko as well. Eben Ahin says, just moving from one club to another. Gideon Eduamoa says, the man always on the move. Desmond Akude says, this guy's agent is just too good. And Ali Weiss says, good luck to Kevin Prince Boateng. Benedict, you have more moves.
All right, so we have to talk about Joseph Edu. Yeah, he's also a centre-back, played here on the local scene at the Interallies, got the opportunity to go out to play with Belgian side, that's KRC Genk. And at Genk, he was one of the top players at the team. He helped them win last season's Belgian league. And he's also, he has made a move to Celta de Vigo, a very good move for him as well. It gives him opportunity to, build as a player in Spain and also to play in the Spanish La Liga. So it's a very good move for Joseph Edu. You can also talk about Rafael Dramina, who has moved to Rosa Zaragoza. That's a loan move from Levante to Rosa Zaragoza. You will get much more playing time. Rafael Dramina has had his own issues in terms of transfers. Sometime he was supposed to move from Switzerland to Brighton and Hove Albion. It didn't happen because of issues with his fitness, and then came back to his club, Basel. They moved him to Spain. It wasn't a good move. We all thought that it was going to be very good for him, but it didn't turn out the way we all wished. And now he's at Rosa Zaragoza. We hope and pray that he also will get much playing time. A lot of Ghanaian players on the move. I don't know if you have time, we'll go through.
Yeah, the full list is on myjoyonline.com. So these are the marquee moves of the Ghanaian players, Benedict, right?
Yeah, maybe we can. Yeah, we've talked about Nana Mpoma, also at Fortuna Düsseldorf, and then Yayabua from Numancia to another Celta de Vigo. So we have two Ghanaian players at Celta de Vigo. We have Yayabua.
Is he the as well as 23 player?
Yes, but his move, what's going to happen is he will start with the under 21 side.
Okay.
So the contract that was given him is that he'll play a number of matches for the under 21 side, and then he'll move on to play the senior team in the La Liga.
All right.
So let's do this. Gary made a fantastic point in trying to set the premise for one of the key topics we're going to be dealing with here. So why don't we have Ghanaian players, out there playing for the big clubs like we used to enjoy in the years he mentioned, like in the 2006 and the 2008. Those who have been great years, Gary, I tell you, to have been going to cover the Champions League, not these days when you go and you don't have. The last time I met a Ghanaian player around was Juventus versus Real Madrid when Kwejo Asamoah was there with the team. So what really has been happening? Now we have one or two journalists joining us. The first joining us is Sadiq Adams. You call him, he's always, popularly known as the Sports Obama, works with Atinka Media. And he tried, answering the question, what has been the reason, or what are the reasons? Why haven't we been able to get this happening? We can have a good listen to it now.
It's really disappointing not to see Ghanaian players making bigger moves to some of the big clubs and in the top leagues in the world, whilst the transfer window has been opened. But getting your top players in the top clubs is not by miracle. All the top clubs in this world are in need of quality players, and producing quality players is not by default. What a nation needs to do to get their quality players in the top clubs is a process. You need to put in place a well-cut plan, one that will have a developmental process for these players from the grassroots to the top level. And if you realize, all the Ghanaian players who had played in some of the big clubs in the world were players who were developed very well from the grassroots to the top level. You can talk of Samuel Osei-Kuffour, you can talk of Michael Essien and Stephen Appiah. These were players who were very much impressive in the Ghanaian youth sides. And so for over some years now, Ghana's youth football has been completely broken down. And so it's affected the entire setup of our football setting. Many players have been able to pass through the system to get to the top. Generally, our football setup from the under 17 to the under 20 level has not been that sterling like it used to be. In the past, there was the academicals, there were youth teams for both clubs in the Premier League and even in the Division 1. That has also been truncated. And so it is not really easy getting players to feature for the national teams at the youth side to impress and even progress to the senior teams. This is something that has really affected even the Black Stars. And so the last time a crop of Ghanaian players really featured for top clubs in the world, like Sule Muntari for Inter Milan, Michael Essien for Chelsea, Stephen Appiah for Juventus, these were players who were together in Ghana's under 20 team, who were very much flourishing at that stage before they progressed even to the Black Stars. You can talk about John Pencil, who was also playing then, for West Ham then, John Mensah, who moved to Sunderland. These were players who were together in that 2001 under 20 team. And so there was a plan, that 5-year development plan of Ben Kofi. Those crop of players were able to move to the top level. But you can't talk of same at this point in time. All the players who have played for the national team are players we handpick from European leagues, or players that agents have specifically picked from trials in the country and sent them to Europe. And once there is no developmental plan, it becomes very difficult for the players to be able to have the basics in football. If you look at countries like Iceland, it is not by magic that they have players playing in the top leagues in the world at this point. It was a concerted effort. It was a grand plan by the Football Association to get players to play in the top leagues at some point in time. And so it's really transformed their national team playing in the Euros and in the World Cup. That is something missing from Ghana. Mali at this point are the best team in terms of youth development on the continent. You can say same for Senegal. And ever since Mali, Senegal, Cameroon started taking this under 20 and under 17 football seriously, you can really see that their players are making progressive moves and into the top clubs in the world. It's really a plan to put in place, develop the grassroots, have the basics right, and the players will pass through to get to the top. It's never going to be a miracle for players to get into the top clubs in the world, because all the top clubs are in need of quality players, and producing quality players takes a bit longer time than we have been doing in recent times. This Japanese player at Real Madrid, Takefuso Kobo, is a player who has been developed for more than 11 years by the association, and now he's at Real Madrid. And so the association needs to put in place a very grand plan for the development of our players. And once they are able to gel and flourish at the youth side, like we used to have in Italia 91, 95, Ecuador 95, once you put the players in place and they are able to perform creditably well in the youth teams, they are able to develop so well into clubs in Europe. And that's one of the things is even affected the individual psyche of our players. Even the few ones who are able to get into the top teams in the world, becomes very difficult for them to progress. Why? Because they do not pick the basics. And so once they start flourishing, once they start performing impressively well at some of the lower leagues in the world, they move to China or any of the countries in Asia. That's the reason why Ghanaian players are really not performing. It's a general breakdown of our system. And until we start picking up our pieces and going back to the grassroots to develop our football from the basics to the youth levels before they even transit into the national teams, it will be very difficult to get Ghanaian players playing in the top leagues in the world, because all those who played in the top leagues, Stephen Appiah, Michael Essien, Sule Ali Muntari, all these top players, John Mensah, were players who were developed for a longer period of time before they even transformed the Black Stars and made bigger moves into some of the big teams in the world.
So that's Sadiq Adams speaking there about the state of Ghanaian footballers who are unable for some reason to attract the big names as well. Keep your comments on this coming. Joy Deadline Day is our hashtag on Twitter and also on Instagram. Let's know. The second topic you can see behind me is Asante Kotoko. They've bought up to 14 players at last count as they aim to beef up their squad for their impending campaign in Africa club competitions. It's been interesting watching them buy because they have been looking at the areas where they have weaknesses in the team to sort it out. To give us perspective to that, our brothers, our colleagues from Kumasi, from Love FM and Inshira FM, to give us the lowdown, Kelvin Owusu-Ansah and also Bismarck Owusu-Bempah.
Hello and welcome to Transfer Countdown in Osei-Krom, where Kumasi Asante Kotoko have been very busy on the market. They won the normalization Tier 1 special competition and as such have booked their ticket for the CAF Champions League campaign as representatives for Ghana. They've made 14 new additions to their team and will definitely want to make a name for themselves in Africa during this campaign. They went through the group stages of the CAF Confederations Cup for the 2018-2019 season and would really want to make a name for themselves. They've sent out a number of players, but the 14 new additions should probably make themselves very, very comfortable in this year's campaign. While I'm doing this together with Inshira 104.5 FM's Bismarck Owusu-Bempah. Ayala is known. My name is Kelvin Owusu-Ansah, and before that, Ayala 14 new players for Asante Kotoko. Coach Sika Kono, who won the normalization special cup with them, is no more. Jetel Zakariasen has taken over the team. Your overview of the signings, 14 new additions, too many, or you think it's just one of the necessary things that club needs to do going into Africa?
Thank you very much. In any sense, sporting wise, it's too many. For a team to bring in 14 players, that is too much. You don't see this anywhere. But Kotoko will tell you, per the circumstances they find themselves, it's quite necessary for them to bring in these players. So we will see how the team will try and shape up as early as possible within the timelines that they have to make the necessary impact they want to have. But yes, the number is too much.
Well, the number is too much. They've had 14 new additions, but 8 are the notables who have left the team. 2 have been from sales, that is Amos Frimpong and then Kwame Bonsu. Daniel Dakwa was released among 5 other players. But let's critically look at the 14 new players. In the goalkeeping department, they've brought in Kwame Ba, formerly of Inter Allies, and 5 goalkeepers for Asante Kotoko. How do you really take this?
Initially, when I heard Kwame Ba was coming, I thought then Felix probably maybe moving to South Africa. That is what we heard, that there were bids for Felix Annan from South Africa. It didn't make sense if Felix was going to go, but if Felix is staying, then I don't see the need for Kwame Ba, to be honest with you. If you have done Lad, who is supposed to be learning from Felix Annan to take over in the future, that is quite positive. I'll say Kwame is a very, very good goalkeeper, and for me, as a third choice goalkeeper of Kumasi Asante Kotoko, it's okay. I don't know why Kotoko management decided to bring Kwame, but he's a quality goalkeeper, and I know for sure that he was a recommendation from a national team coach, that he's very, very good. Don't forget, he's the goalkeeper for the Meteor, so probably Kotoko will need a strong backup to Felix Annan, and you don't see that lad as ready as much when you go to our African continent. So that probably may be the only reason why Kotoko will go for Kwame Ba to come and deputize for Felix Annan when they are venturing on the continent. Apart from that, it doesn't make sense. But let's give him the benefit of the doubt. He's a very, very good goalkeeper, good reflexes. He has been exposed so much in keeping post for the national team, for Interlies and other competitions that he's been in. So I think it's positive addition to Kotoko. He brings some sort of competition to the team. But hey, Felix Annan is Felix Annan, and now that he's even the captain of the side, he's always going to be the #1 goalkeeper for Kumasi Asante Kotoko.
Well, in defense, Mpem Da Costa from Karela United, as well as Patrick Yeboah is also from Karela, and then Steven Ayikutete, who played straight in Ivory Coast. These are the 3 defenders that have joined the team. Very fair.
Yes, it's fair. You see, when it comes to the defensive area, we know right now Ghani is not available because of injury. Yes, Ajimambedu seems to have gathered some momentum now, doing preseason with Zachariasen. And Pim Dako and Pim Da Costa is a very, very good defender. We've seen him play. He has a lot of qualities. He's calm. He can pass. He reads the game very, very well. Patrick Yeboah, yes, with the exit of Daniel Dakwa, you needed someone to be there. And as we speak, Abbas Mohammed, Ivan Sowusu, they are not so satisfying as left back for Kumasi Asante Kotoko. And I think Patrick Yeboah will come in handy for Kotoko. You shouldn't forget it was Encho that Kotoko were going for medium amount. So that deal didn't just pull through. And I think Patrick Yeboah is a very, very good addition. I just hope that the time that he came in, he will quickly get into gear and keep the team running from the left back position. He's a very, very good addition for them, and with Pim Da Costa and the others, they'll find a very, very good partnership. If you ask me right now with the players available, I'll go in for Pim Da Costa and Wahab Adams as Kotoko partnership, especially for their first game against Canopilas.
Well, that is from Ayala, but in midfield where they have a chunk of the players that have come in, Alex Didi Arnold from AS Togoport, Justice Blair, as we know from Mediama SC, Godfrey Esiama Ashanti Gold, Augustine Okra, he was unattached, as well as Mudasiru Salifu, formerly of Tanda FC and then CS Faxi, and Kingsley Oseifa from Wild Stars, Kelvin Matthew Andor, formerly Wild Stars, and then Kuyate Mamadou, formerly of Joliba, and recently Elmina Sharks, but he couldn't play in the Normalization Special Cup. This midfield, a chunk of the players have been in here, and that was the complaint in the past season when Sika Kono was there. They had a number of midfielders, but still struggled to dominate possession in games.
Koroko midfield last season in the Confederations Cup were dominated by Wikisen and Kwame Bunsu. They are all not available. Steven Yakwa has been let go. Daniel Nieje has been let go. You could count the number of midfielders Kotoko has let go. So it means that was the department Kotoko needed to strengthen. That's the engine room of the game. Yeah. And I've watched Justice Blaze, fantastic player by all standards. I've watched Alexis Didi Arnold, very, very good player. I've watched the other players that Kotoko has brought in. And I think per the account of what we've seen, especially Salifu from Tanda FC, you know, he was working with Zacharias when he was at Tanda. In terms of the quality of the materials Kotoko has brought in their midfield, they are solid players. They know what they are about, and they have the skill set to propel the club to where they want to get to. My only problem is the timing. Okay. It seems too short for us to see their sharpness, their understanding of each other, their familiarity, and the cohesion that you need. Midfield play is all about understanding each other and trying to have an impact in terms of the pattern of play. That is what I think Zachariasen will have to work on. Godfrey Esiama, fantastic player. Augustine Okra, fantastic player. So you could count the quality of these players. We've seen Kevin Andor, so superb, adventurous. Whatever you need in a winger, he will give you. So yes, they will come complementing the team in terms of the injury room. Yeah. But again, the issue of timing and whether they've gotten themselves into that stage where Zachariasen will say, look, these guys are as sharp as I want them, and we are ready to proceed. That's very, very important.
Well, in attack, they have George Abege and then Richard Atta. Very solid ones as replacement for Danny Tega Izabo, who is virtually leaving. And then in a limbo as in whether Sonia Yakuba and then Fatau Safiu are going to get back into the team.
I think, to be honest, the last time I watched Richard Atta, he's very, very good with the feet, but he looks quite bulky. I think for the last 3 months he has not been playing, and that is where the biggest problem comes in, because among the strikers Kotoko have bought, he's their main man.
So that was the bit on Asante Kotoko as we focus on the Ghana Hour here. Of course, when we speak about Asante Kotoko, we have to speak about Hearts of Oak. They are not buying as many as their rivals in Kumasi, but what have they been up to? Felix Remark watches them for us.
He's very, very good. I like how he has been able to maintain his physique. He's a Dansoman boy, so I know him very, very well. We call him Manucho. Yeah, and Dansoman, I know his dream has always been to play for Accra Hearts of Oak, and see him sign that deal with the Phobians, I'm very, very happy for him, and I know he will give the team a very good, prospect. And then when the season gets started, we don't know when it is starting, but I hope it does it does give us what we wanted in the striker, giving us the goals. It's a long time as a folk had a player who could score 20, 22 goals in the season like the Ishmael Ado, the Louis Hajiman. But I feel that if you look at the midfield quality that we have, the creativity in our midfield, Benjamin Atta should be able to score the goals. He didn't have that liberty, but with Accra to folk, the prospector is good. And Dominic Eshen is another player that we managed to sign from Carroll after all those controversies when Mark Noonan got him the first place. So a lot of people keep saying that we re-signed the player, but I don't really care. So for us, it's a Phobian now. I'm excited. It's a very good player, 19 years of age. He started 12 games out of 17 for Kerala when they got promoted into the Ghana Premier League. So I am very, very happy to see him. 19 years. One thing that Kim Grant is doing very well is getting players that are very youthful. He's trying to build a very youthful team, a team that can last us for 5 seasons. Even when he's not there, he'll be proud to say I put up this team. Aside the transfer dealings at the camp of the Phobians, I must say that there will be renewal. Yeah, George, excited. As a Phobian, I'm just happy that we managed to get some 2 players into the team. Bernard Atta, the former Liberty professional player, is a very, very good player. He has a Premier League experience, 22 years of age, on a long-term deal. He'll be there for a very, very long time. And aside that, he'll bring in some goals. In 44 games that he played for Liberty, he scored 19 goals. It's not that he'll be proud to say I put up this team. Aside the transfer dealings at the camp of the Phobians, I must say that there will be renewal of contract, which is very, very good. Manaf, who happens to be one of the brightest players that we saw at the NCT 1 competition. He had a contract, a 1-year deal with the Phobians, actually from the academy. He was given a short-term deal, and now we had to renew. I'm saying we because as a Phobian, I'm proud that the club has renewed. He now has a very long-term contract, and that should give him a very good boost coming into the new season. Also, Michel Sapon, who happens to be the captain of the Aurora's team, a very excellent player, so also had a short deal to be part of the first team, and he proved that he can surely fight for a place in the team. He also has a new contract now. Apart from the ins and the renewals, we did a bit of business by getting rid of some players, and I think that Malik Akua, Premier League, has so much experience in the league, but I think that he didn't cut it at Accra. So for age, also catching up with him as well, and I think that was a good decision by management to allow him to leave. We are trying to build a very youthful team, and I don't think that Malik Akua has the prospect of us being part of that team. So it's been a very good transfer dealings for the Philippines, and I'm so excited. I can't wait for the new season to start, and hopefully we can bring back the glory days for Accra to folk. Phobia, the best.
So we are live on Joy 99.7 FM, also on television on the Joy News channel, DSTV channel 421. This is the Joy Transfer Countdown. On Twitter, we are known as Joy Deadline Day. We are trending. And let's get a couple of the comments there. Miles he took a photo of us in the studio and he's put it out there. It's got quite a number of retweets, but we are more interested in what's trending in terms of the comments. Now, yes, Joy Deadline Day. You can still keep tweeting at us at Joy Sports GH. Man City doesn't have rumors. They aren't linked with anyone. They just go for whoever they want. Just like that, no stress. But Manchester United is linked with almost all the players in this world. Abba, that's Joy Deadline Day. You sell Lukaku because you have Rashford. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will regret this decision. This is from Pa_JT. I love what is happening. Teams buying, some players crying. It's going to be a fantastic season with a cracker on Sunday. Man United should have bought an attacking midfielder, but they chose to rely on Mata and Andreas, or sometimes Lindgaard. That is from Ma_Atta05. Breaking, this is from Lord Zico. Man United signing, and they have the picture of, is it Popo? This is Popo. Popo. His real name is what? Osita Iheme or something like that. Yeah, Osita Iheme. Orekwar Popo tweets, big season incoming for Mason Greenwood. Man United fans, can he fill Lukaku's boots? You sell your lonely striker. This is from DC Duce Christian. You sell your lonely striker without tangible replacement. What a team. Deadline day, joy deadline day. Kimli Kese, who's been tweeting for us, says, the team is ready. I see my man Gary L. Smith. 3 p.m. sharp, joy deadline day. It's Vicky's, says, Arsenal are calculating profits after receiving 40 million for Iwobi while signing Tierney and Co. on a 45 million budget. And they have a meme of Popo on his calculator hitting things on the phone there. Let's go now to Kumasi to get some more analysis on everything we've heard. That was nice, huh? That was nice.
I'm not calculating what.
Let's look at
40 million.
40 million for their pocket. Oh.
Wow.
And Papa is like, Versace
Everton,
and
you'll be
Gucci.
okay. Everton, you'll be okay. 40 million.
You know, Wes, like, Everton, are you okay?
Okay. All right.
Wow. Anyway. That's what the market is about.
Yeah.
It's about how much you value a player and all of that. Keep your comments coming. Joy Deadline Day on Twitter. Yes. Let's go and see some of the analysis that we can get. Atapoku Collins is from Kesben FM and he joins us from Kumasi. Thank you for your time, Ata.
Thank you for the opportunity, Guy.
Right, so we've heard from
all your viewers.
Yes.
And my colleagues in there.
Yeah. We heard from our colleagues Bismarck Obi and also Kelvin Osuansa on Kotoko and also Felix Remark on House of Folk. But earlier, we heard from Sadiq Adams on why Ghanaian players really are not as previously as 12, 10, 15 years ago, getting the big moves to the top clubs in Europe. What's your take on why all this is going on?
Well, Guy, I feel that it's indicative of the times we are in. Look at the terrain currently, and there's been a blockbuster move from Everton to no mean a club at PSG by a Senegalese midfielder. Ismail Assar has joined Watford today, and at the very early stages of the transfer window, between May and the early part of June, there were inquiries from Real Madrid on Sadio Mane from Liverpool. So clearly, these Senegalese players that are in vogue and in demand for the quality they have and the way and manner they've prepared themselves. You look at these generation foot boys, right? They're all making good moves, aren't they?
You mean the club in Senegal where Sadio Mane and co all came from, Generation Foot?
Exactly.
Yes, which
all
is based in
Dakar. All those boys they shipped into Europe are making very good moves now. And the performance they put in during the AFCON has helped them.
Yeah.
Last year we had Kasim Nuhu in the Champions League. Unfortunately, this time man is going to Fortuna Düsseldorf. So for me, it's indicative of the time. 2005, Chelsea were still starting it out with Olympic Lyon for the signature of Michael Essien.
Yeah.
Why? Because he was not just the best Ghanaian player around, he was the best player in the country. Today we can't face him. We went to the AFCON and we saw how our players fared. We looked at the previous season and you don't have anybody at all that you could argue is in top form and will be commanding a starting bet in any of these elite classes in Europe. So it's indicative of the times we are in. That's why this is happening.
Yeah. Now, as a follow-up question, though, we've seen Asante Kotoko and Heart of Folk. We've been given analysis on their transfer activity. I mean, I know this is a dream question, but when are we going to see a Ghanaian player from here move straight to Europe like we see with the Esperances, the TP Mazembes, and so on? What is it going to take for this to happen, Collins?
It's happened before. We were here when Rosenborg Trondheim came from Norway and then got Robert Boateng. They moved him straight in and got him. We were here when Arsenal had invited Sheila Eliasu for trial. It happened. But the problem is that in all these circumstances, it's either the players are playing so well on the local team or they are attached to very good agents who are based in Europe. Unfortunately, we don't have that now. And in our case, mostly you see these players relying on output with the national team before they are able to do that. So until that is done, I believe that it will take a lot of time for us to get to the point where these guys will be able to do that.
Interesting.
I'm not dreaming of setting in the next 5 years, unless there is a breakthrough local star who gets to get cash the national team and then gets the opportunity to fill an inquiry from any of these elite clubs. Other than that, it's always going to be difficult. So for me, it's not something I envisage anytime soon because we don't have the right agents attached to these clubs. And these clubs are so motivated by the pittances from the Arab world and North Africa.
Yeah. That's a very good point you are raising, Collins. It's also interesting to note that even as we go into what we hope will be the period after normalization, some of the clubs are already angling to get themselves and their players being sold. Now, let me ask you, for example, Fatau Safiu, who was easily one of Kotoko's best players, is being looked at by a European club for, 100,000. No, we hear that Kotoko even wanted $100,000, and the club wanted to give $50,000 for one of the best players in Africa. Or Benedict, is what, 15,000? $15,000. I mean, come on, man.
You see, guys, there is this newspaper in Sweden called Aftonbladet.
Yeah.
They came out first with these issues on how Helsingborg were valuing Fatau Safi. And even that was for a long period, after which they would want to make a move for a permanent deal. Now, the difficulty is this. Guys, we all know Sweden, Norway, and Denmark are stepping stones to get cash in the main Western leagues. Now, they don't value players the way the mainstream leagues do, because they see themselves as stepping stones. But the problem is this. You look at Emmanuel Amate's, our own Daniel Amate's trajectory. Through there to Copenhagen, he got a hand injury and couldn't go on trial at Liverpool. And that got him the breakthrough to Copenhagen. Then the figures were increasing. But in the case of Fatau, he had even been invited on a trial. And all these things affect the value of these players. Unless you've exceeded some targets on the local scene or excelled exceptionally for any of our national teams, it's difficult getting a big prize. And the valuation put on our players by either the negotiators or the agents around these deals are bad. And it's the reason why we are not getting massive deals. You look at somebody like Paintsel, Joseph Paintsel's move from Ferencvaros to Belgium. It was because he had been on loan at Ferencvaros and was moving from that place to Belgium. That pushed them to fork out that money. Other than that, it was always going to be difficult. Now, a bit of history would help us. When Domenico Ricci came to town from 1991 with our under-17 players and all those things, he was valuing players well, and they were getting good deals. But now, unfortunately, it comes down to having the right agents. Guys, you've dealt with these Nigerian agents who come to town and who roam the continent. When they are discussing fees for players, they don't start from this 100,000, 150,000. Because the larger the fee, the higher his commission.
Yeah.
Not only do we have players who are not excelling enough, we have agents who are either cutting their teeth in the business, and as such, we take anything at all to get the network as well. And as such, we are not valuing the players exactly the way they should be valued, and it's affecting all of us.
Nice one. Collins, many, many thanks for your time. It's been a pleasure having you on the Joy News channel. Is this your first time with us?
And it's going to be a lot of time together sometime to come, I hope so.
Yes. The floodgates have been open. Collins Atapoku works for Kesben FM. Always a pleasure having you on. So the Ghana Hour is done for now. We will come back to it in the final half hour of the show. Right now, though, George is going to introduce something for us. This is the Joy Transfer Countdown.
And it's good to know we are trending out there. Let's hear from you with your tweets at Joy Sports GH. Yes, on any of our official handles, Joy News official handle, Joy News on TV, and of course, Joy 99.7. But now time to run by you the completed updates, what we've got. I'll be doing this with Gary Al Smith. Can we start then with AC Milan? What's been happening in the transfer window? Remember, for the likes of AC Milan and clubs in Italy, they've got opportunity to go all the way then till August 31st. To try and sort out there. So here you've got what we've got here in the ins and the outs for AC Milan right on your screen. Next.
Now, so in the in tray, there's Rafael Leo, who came in for 30 million. Frank Kessie, obviously, 24 million. Theo Hernandez for 20 million. Ismail Benacer, AFCON prodigy, AFCON superstar for 16 million. And Radek Krunic for £8.0 million. In the out straight, Patrick Cutrone for 18 million. He went out. Manuel Locatelli for 10. Thiago Jallo for 5. Gustavo Gomez, Stefan Simic, and Christian Zapata. Moving on.
Away from AC Milan, we go to the next team.
Arsenal.
Arsenal. Oh, yes. It's good I should be doing this. Look, we've got the ins for Arsenal. Dani Ceballos. We've got William Saliba. We've got Nicolas Pepe. And you know there's David Luiz as well getting into the club. Good. And for the outs, there's Petr Cech. We've got Lechina. We've got Julio. We've got Aaron Ramsey. We've got Danny Welbeck. We've got Christian Balik. And of course, don't forget, Alexi Iwobi has gone for 40 million there to Everton.
Next up, who have we got? It's Atletico Madrid. Joao Felix is in for 126 million. That's the big one. Marcos Llorente, Mario Hermoso, Kieran Trippier, Felipe, and Renal Lodi all in. Out. Antoine Griezmann to Barca. Lucas Hernandez, Rodri to City. Gelson Martins, Luciano Vieto, and Bernard Mensah, who sounds Ghanaian and is Ghanaian, out for £3.6 million as well. Next up.
Away from Atletico Madrid, we go to Barcelona. Okay, there's been some activity here, and there could even be more. Antoine Griezmann in, Neto, Emerson, you know, Cucurella is in as well. Frankie de Jong and Junior Ferro are actually getting in there. Now for the outs, we've got Sillerson, we've got Andre Gomez, we've got Paco Alcácer, there's Denis Suarez, there's Emerson, and there's Mark Cardona as well.
Next up, we have got Chelsea. They have in their entry Mateo Kovacic for 41.1. Outs, number of names, Temi Tayo Aina, Ethan Ampedu, who sounds Ghanaian and was born by Ghanaian parents, but he's Welsh.
It's the year of return, it's Ghanaian.
Louis Baker, Marcin Bulka, Gary Cahill, no relation to this one. Eden Hazard also out as well. Next up.
Let's do Bayern Munich right now. The Ins, we've got Lucas Hernandez, we've got Benjamin Pavard. Hey, that great guy, plays so well for France. We've got Gunfite, and of course we look at the outs there. We've got Matt Hummels, we've got Fredil in, we've got Rafinha, we've got Frank Ribery, there's Ian Robin, and James Rodriguez. Net spent, 84.0 million euros there. Gary, the next team.
What have we got? Borussia Dortmund. We're on the German side of things, aren't we? Whoa, they've been busy. Matt Hummels in. Thorgan Hazard in, brother of Eden. Nico Schultz in. Julian Brandt. Paco Alcacer. Matteo Murray in the out tray. Who did they let go? Abdou Diallo. Alexander Ishak. Sebastian Rode. Jeremy Toljan. Andre Schürrle. Felix Passlack. And Christian Pulisic, of course. His loan move has ended and he's gone to Chelsea.
Okay, someone says my favorite club. Did you say that? Manchester United. Okay, he wanted a reaction because he said my favorite club. Manchester United. Okay, let's see how it goes. We've got Daniel James. We've got Wan-Bissaka. There's Harry Maguire. The most expensive defender in the world.
Yes.
Maguire, you are too big. You're a big guy. Now the outs, we've got Andre Herrera. We've got Kieran O'Hara. We've got Regan Pole. Antonio Valencia. There's Matthew Willock. And of course, William Bass going out of Manchester United.
Yep. Who have we got next? Even as we get ready to look at more numbers with Daryl Qual, in the intro for Inter Milan, they've been busy. You can add Romelu Lukaku to this list because it just happened. Valentino Lazaro, Matteo Politano, I love that player, man. Nico Barella, Yonut Radu, Eddie Salcedo, Gabriel Brazao, Stefano Sensi, Diego Godin, also in for a free. Diego Godin, does he ever grow old? Zinio Van Housden is out. Yonut Radu, he went out on a loan immediately as he was bought. Andrea Adurante, Marco Sala, Nicolas Rizzo, Ray Manai, and Christian Ansaldi also all out there for Everton.
Yeah, Everton are looking to win the Premier League by what they've done so far. There is Moise Keane, there's Philippe Bami, there's Andre Gomez, Fabian Delph, Jonas Lossell. We've got Alexi Iwobi as well moving through for them. Idrissa Gueye out, Ademola Lookman. We've got Nikola Vlasic. There is Phil Jagielka. There's Matheus Helwet and Luke Garbott, all walking out of Everton.
End of an era when Phil Jagielka leaves Everton. Really end of an era. Next up, Juventus. They have been super busy. Super club, super busy. De Ligt, the first one. The most high profile probably who has come in. Cristiano Romero, Luca Pellegrini. Demiral is also in. Adrian Rabiot Is he more high profile than De Ligt? No, no, I don't think so. It's because of the kind of season the Dutchman had. Aaron Ramsey also in. Gianluigi Buffon also in. Back to Batan. Out. Leonardo Spinazzola, Emil Odero, Stefano Sturaro, Ricardo Orsolini, Alberto Cherry, Andrea Favilli, and Rogerio all out as well. Liverpool.
Okay. Oh, Liverpool. Let's see what they got. Gary.
Sepp
Sure.
van der Berg. Yeah. For 1.3 million.
Okay.
Why do I have a feeling?
No. Benedict is responding. Okay.
They are going to sell this player for 130 million in 2 seasons.
When you started, yes. Benedict, okay. Go through Liverpool. Benedict. Go through Liverpool.
Van der Beek, 1.3. Harvey Elliott, undisclosed, is from Fulham, 16-year-old, and then Adrian from West Ham, also free. And those that are out, Adam Bogdan, a goalkeeper, has been released. Rafael Camacho has gone out for £5.5 million, and then Kamal Grabara loan, and then Alberto Moreno has been released.
Wow, end of an era.
Yes, of course. He's been there for some time. Yeah, and Conor Randall released as well as Thanos Sturridge.
Another name. Wow.
Well, people are still wondering what Adam Lallana is still doing at Liverpool.
Adam Lallana.
Jurgen Klopp has a soft spot
new signing.
for a
He's
player.
a new signing.
Let's go straight to PSG. Gary, let's go to
PSG.
And who could be adding Neymar to their list?
Yeah,
Or who will be taking Neymar away from the list? What is it?
they could have Neymar in that out tray, but at the moment the out tray consists of these 6 players. Giovanni Lo Celso, spoken about him copiously in this transfer window. Moussa Diaby, Christopher Nkunku, Gregors Krychowiak. Yes, Krychowiak is out as well. Timothy Weah, yes, if it sounds like a name you know, is the son of George Oponweah. He's been sent out for £10 million as well. Gianluigi Buffon is out on a free. In the players they've got, Idrissa Gueye, who Collins Atapoku spoke about, Abdul Diallo, Pablo Sarabia, love that player, I must say, Michel Bakker, Marcin Bulka, and Ander Herrera is in on a free. That's for PSG.
Herrera, Manchester United. Okay, it's fine. Okay, Tottenham Hotspur. Well, Gary. Well.
So
let's
in the
do
in-tray,
yes, let's do it. Okay, you do the in-tray.
The in-tray, Lo Celso, who we just saw out from
Yep.
PSG, came here to Spurs.
Yep.
Tanguy Ndombele is a player that many of us want to watch, but per what we saw in preseason, look, this guy is a good player. Jack Clark is also in the out tray.
Out, we've got Kieran Trippier, we've got Vincent Janssen, we've got Janssen, Fernando Llorente, we've got Michael Vaughan, and there is Jack Clark. Okay, you were making the point about that. Where is that there?
Yeah,
it's
so
in there. So he's what?
They signed in Jack Clark and loan him out immediately.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's how
Also sad to see Michel Vaughan go.
Okay, final Real Madrid and interesting discussion coming
The big
up from Real
one.
Madrid, the big one. Eden Hazard. He's a big one, and he's a big one ambiguously because he's big as well. He's become big these days. Luka Jovic, there is Adam Militao. We've got Mendy in there. We've got Rodrigo also in there. Gary, let's do the outs.
Mateo Kovacic, he's out to Chelsea finally for 45 million quid. Marcos Llorente, Raul de Tomas, and Theo Hernandez is in. Jorge de Frutos and Sergio Reguilon is also out on loan. That is how we wrap up on all the big deals we have seen. Wow, it's been busy.
Very, very busy. Just a quick one there. Benedict, okay with everything?
Oh, yeah, of course. I'm very, very much okay, especially with Liverpool not signing any top player. We don't need any player.
You are fine.
Yeah, we are very
You just
good.
have to manage what you have.
New signings, Ox is a new signing for us. Adam Lallana, my man spoke about him, but he's a new signing. So we are very good.
Two big injuries and
we are good to go.
well, you've got Oxlade-Chamberlain coming back in.
We are not Chelsea that you signed transfer ban.
Yeah, he's a that sensation.
That sensation. That what? Transfer demand or transfer demand. Okay, guys.
Fair ban.
All right.
He could be Korean as well. Transfer ban.
Yeah, there's a lot more coming up. We're not done, of course, but we're moving into an entirely new space.
Yes, so just as we showed you the numbers now, we will leave the Joy Business Desk to have a special edition of the Transfer Deadline Show. Darryl Kwao and his business team will be going behind the numbers while we look at the football when we come back in the final half hour. This is Joy Deadline Day, and it's on Joy 99.7 FM and Joy News on television.